Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me? I don't know what I look like, guys. Let me check. I'm scared. I'm nervous.
You look normal.
Am I normal, guys? Am I normal? Yes, I am. Yay! All right, I'm just going to retweet this out, you guys, to let everybody know that I'm normal again. All right, cool. Woohoo! Woohoo! Thanks so much for bearing with me. So, let me make sure I press go live in Rockfin. All right, cool. We are all set. I'll go back and edit the Rockfin title later. Yay! Thanks so much, guys. Give me just a second. I'm just gonna retweet this to let everybody know my face is normal again. Let me see. Retweet. All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you guys we figured out what happened. Apparently when I went into the control room instead of hitting enable auto stop, which is what I usually do, I accidentally hit 360 view. Like I was like, why do I look like this? Get this off of me. That was scary. You guys were up close and personal with me. You were up close and personal with me. Oh my gosh. I think I put this on Twitter. Let me double check and then we can get right into the news. I feel bad. I was just like, oh my God, I'm wasting people's time. And I should have deleted that other one. So I should be in Twitter. Let's see. Am I in Twitter? Yes. I don't know if that's the previous one or I think that is the correct one. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Wait, that says 33 minutes ago. Oh, well, it is what it is right now. Shoot. Hey, Nick, what's going on? You missed my fishbowl experience that I just had there. I had to create a new live stream and everything. They were up close and personal with Sabby. Yes, indeed. Welcome, Malik. Thanks so much for joining. Oh my gosh, I got to make sure I never accidentally press that button again. Ashura said, I thought we were in Doctor Strange or Inception. Me too. Oh my gosh. That was weird. I never want to have that view again. Oh man. Um, thanks so much for joining me again, guys. Jeez Louise. It's been a crazy day. I'm already ready for the weekend. We got a lot of people like quitting at work. I understand. I don't blame them. But it has been really, really difficult. And I'm about ready to like pull my hair out, if you know what I mean. I'm not even dressed well. I'm wearing a wife beater. Let me see this. Hey. All right. No, thanks. Let me pull up my Gmail. All right. Thanks so much for hanging in there. See what happens when you go live? What's going on, Black of the Empire? Thanks so much for the super chat. Thought I had to stop smoking this stuff. I think somebody already put a screenshot of it on Twitter too. They were like, what is going on? What's up, E. Heller? Was that VR goggles version of Sabby? In the live control room, I accidentally selected 360 view instead of enable auto stop. That's what happens when I try to rush. I should have just taken my time and made sure it was done the right way. Boy, I tell you, what a day, what a day, what a day. But nothing compared to what happened over the weekend, over this Labor Day weekend. And I'm going to pull up my thumbnail so we can talk about that because I know you guys, a lot of things happened over the weekend. And I know I pretty much say that at the beginning of every week, but it's true for whatever reason. A lot of things keep happening over the weekend. So let me go ahead and pull up my thumbnail. Just a second. I know some of you that smoke or whatever were probably like, what the heck am I looking at right now? It was like, woo. Yeah, so I deleted that one. So this one should be all set in YouTube. So here we go. We're going to try to do this again. I am going to share my screen so we can dive into tonight's stories. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Chrome tab. All right, what are we talking about tonight? So, couple things happened, you guys, over the weekend. Jackson Hinkle was arrested. Kamala Harris, Labor Day fail. She made a statement or a short speech on Labor Day. I'm really going to pick that apart. So you definitely want to see that. And of course, Medicare at 60. They are trying to pass a bill to get the Medicare age reduced to 60. Woo-hoo-hoo. Of course, I don't think that is enough, as you know. So I'm going to talk about that as well. I think I am going to start with what happened with Jackson Hinkle, though, over the weekend. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I want to go ahead and give you an overview of why this happened before I show you the video. So basically, to make a long story short, Movement for a People's Party had a protest on Labor Day at the Capitol, and it was called Occupy Congress. And, you know, people showed up who were part of MPP. There were people who were Finney from FHL was there because she lives in DC area. And people were, just speaking truth to power. And the protest was for, canceling rent. They are, and a lot of us, we are tired of these excuses as to why they cannot do this. And as you guys know, the Supreme Court overturned the eviction moratorium. So millions of Americans are going to be evicted unless someone does something drastically soon. And so that's what Roger Meadows, thanks so much for the super chat. Best impression of Aaliyah, if your girl only knew. Yeah, oh my God. You guys remember those videos from the 90s where it was like the fish eye thing? Like Puff Daddy used to do it, Mace used to do it. That was like a thing back then. So we want to talk about what happened at the Capitol because so Jackson Hinkle was there. So just keep in mind, he flew all the way from California to DC to be there, and he was live streaming it as it was happening. So I happened to just click on around the time when he was speaking, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's live streaming this. This is really cool. Next thing I know, the cops show up, and it didn't go well from there. So I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to play you this video clip that I actually got from Jimmy Dore's Garage, who is actually in the chat. What is going on, Jimmy Dore's Garage? What is up? So I'm going to share my screen and show you this video. This was appalling to me. Now, I want to go ahead and let you guys know this was not a violent protest. This was a peaceful protest. I watched it. Okay. I want you to watch and see how the police just make a point to screw with them. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me pause it right here. And thanks so much for this clip, courtesy of Jimmy Dore's Garage. And I'm going to mute my mic so I don't have an echo. And here we go.
Nobody walks in, nobody walks out. We want housing. You think there's a big hole there? Fill the hole.
Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. What do we want? Housing justice. No. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Lydia, get behind the line. Come on, get behind the line, Liz.
So I'm just going to chime in here to let you know what's going on. The female with the bullhorn in her hand, that's Paula Jean Swearigan. Next to her is Jackson Hinkle. And over to the left, you can't see him right now, but Nick Brana is also there. And you can see the number of cops compared to the number of people. Obviously, they had way more police there than they needed. I don't even feel like there needed to be a police presence there, but of course, you know, they had to act a fool. And so that's what's going on now. The reason why they're being arrested, they were saying that they're engaging in illegal activity. I didn't see any illegal activity, but then they went on to say that they're not supposed to use a bullhorn on the steps of the Capitol, but AOC, Cori Bush, like they used a bullhorn on the steps of the Capitol when they had the protests for the eviction moratorium. So basically what we have here, you know, it's this right of privilege where congressmen and women can do this, but everyday peeps like us, if we do it, we're going to get arrested. And we saw that happen after Cori Bush and the rest of the squad left their protest and other protesters were still showing up. Those protesters were arrested. So I'm going to play this one more time and I'll just point this out to you as well. You'll see other things here.
You think there's a big hole there? Fill the hole.
Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house.
And so that's Nick Brana right there walking up the steps. I guess he was like going to the rescue or something, saying like, hey, these are my people. Like, what the hell are you doing? But I'll just play it here because I see we have more people that join the stream.
Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house. Our house.
Thanks so much, Church of the Evil, for the super chat. Congress needs their bank accounts occupied until everyone has Medicare for all and a living wage. Absolutely agree. One of the things that I want to point out to you that was interesting to me is that the number of the police officers that were there, I thought that was uncalled for. And second of all, where were all those police officers on January 6th? They allow themselves to be overrun by people. But you have a group there, and it wasn't like it was like 200, 300 people there. You have a group there that is protesting, asking for rent cancellation. They're not being violent. Let's just compare this to what happened on January 6th. I didn't see them punch anybody. I didn't see them push anybody. I didn't see them break into any buildings. They were being there, you know, having a peaceful protest. And lo and behold, cops show up in numbers. That was uncalled for. It was ridiculous. I don't think they should have been arrested, period. I don't think it should be illegal to protest. So when people make these comments and they say, we want people to protest, to have that right, but we only want them to do it in certain ways. We don't want them to be violent. Okay. We want them to do it peacefully. I just showed you a protest, a peaceful protest, and the cops still came and arrested people. What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? That tells you that they don't want you to do it, period. If you could let AOC and Cori Bush stand on those steps, sleep on those steps, use a bullhorn on those steps, but everyday people can't do the same thing, I call BS. I'm going to some of the comments in the chat. Optimism of the Will said, didn't AOC say bullhorns were violent? Good question. Good question. Quaker Socialist said the squad has not spoken out about this at all. Silence. And I'm glad you brought that up because I've noticed that as well. Where was the squad when this protest happened? Look, whether like you're a fan of MPP or not, if you have people out there who are trying to fight for rent cancellation, which is a step further than what the squad was trying to do, and the squad said, like, no, we cannot have all these people evicted, then where were they when this protest happened? And I'm not even saying that they had to be there. I'm not even saying that they had to be there, but they've said nothing about it. They have been silent. I didn't see them tweet about it. I didn't hear them talk about it. So as far as I'm concerned, when I go back, when we made those statements and said this was just a performance stunt that they were doing, what did we just show you? When Afeni met with AOC at the Capitol, AOC told Afeni, you guys need to organize on the outside because that's the only way they're going to hear you in here. She was talking about the way that people are going to hear them in Congress and in the Senate. So here you go. Here's a group of people organizing on the outside and they get arrested. And the squad has nothing to say about it. They are silent. So if you guys really didn't want people to lose their homes, if you really don't want people to be evicted, why haven't you talked about this? Why haven't you even tweeted about it? Going to some of the comments in the chat. Shout out to Eric Thomas. He's a Sabby member. He said, saw Afeni speak at the protest as well. Yeah, Afeni was there. I thought I had a clip of her speech. Afeni was there. She spoke. And I mean, my whole thing about this that I have a problem with is the fact that you already have a number of states in this country that are trying to make protesting illegal. And then here we are right here in DC, and all those cops showed up to arrest people who were having a peaceful protest. A peaceful protest. Why is it okay for AOC and the squad to do it, but it's not okay for everyday people who put them in office to do the same thing? Going to some of the comments in the chat. Corey Leith said, what squad member would be there on Labor Day? They don't stand with us on regular days. Well, there you go. There you go. In the Fed, did Afeni get arrested? No, Afeni did not. In fact, I think I have, if you give me just a second, I think I do have that clip from Afeni's speech. You'll have to bear with me. My DMs are a nightmare. If you DM'd me something, this is why I tell people, email me, man. Email me. Because like I cannot sort my DMs. All right, I found it. I'm going to play the clip of Afeni speaking. And I would have dared them try to arrest Afeni. I would have dared them. Brett James said, I heard someone say they got arrested for having a bullhorn. Yeah, but I think the point that we're trying to make is why was it okay for AOC and Cori Bush to have a bullhorn on the steps, but it's not okay for everyday people to do the same thing? And I honestly don't think you should be arrested for a bullhorn to begin with. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, they don't want us to protest, period. They're going to keep coming up with all these rules, all these little, like, you can't do this, you can't do it that way, you got to do it this way. And then you do it this way, and then they still find problems with it. They have expanded the police state. I'm going to get to that in just a second, but I'm going to show you Afeni's speech because this is really good. Share my audio. Share my screen. All right, and I am going to mute my mic.
Yes, we will show the fuck up because we can build power. We are the powerful one. So we need to empower each other. We need to fucking make sure that we are checking in on each other and building community, because these motherfuckers right here do not protect us, and neither do these motherfuckers in there. That's right. So we have to protect each other. Preach! We have to stand for each other, because we are here in the fucking richest country in the world getting oppressed. So what the fuck else do we have better to do than fight our goddamn oppression? That's right. Yes, we will show the fuck up, because we can build power. We are the powerful ones. So we need to empower each other. We need to fucking make sure that we are checking in on each other and building community, because these motherfuckers right here do not protect us, and neither do these motherfuckers in there. That's right. So we have to protect each other. Preach! We have to stand for each other, because we are here in the fucking richest country in the world getting oppressed. So what the fuck else do we have better to do than fight our goddamn oppression? That's right.
Yeah, that's a Finny. That's a Finny. She's Finny is straight fire, man. Straight fire. I'm gonna go to the super chats really quick. I don't want to forget about you guys. Shout out to Delthea Simmons. The squad has become the calming drug of don't do too much, otherwise you'll upset the workings of Congress, aka ignoring regular people. They're ignoring the same people who put them in office. Some in independent media too, by the way, because it was independent media that gave them a lot of attention. Had it not been for indie media, like left indie media, I wouldn't have even known who AOC was. Let's all remember that. Let's all remember who put them on the map. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. We need a federal law handling down severe penalties to municipalities who violate civilians' right to peacefully assemble under the First Amendment. Absolutely. This is our First Amendment right. And little by little, they're trying to take it from us. They're trying to take it away from us. When people say that during the George Floyd protest, when people were saying like they're burning down buildings, they're looting stores, notice you didn't hear those same people talk about the thousands of people across this country that were peacefully protesting. I saw videos of police officers harassing peaceful protesters, stealing their food, stealing their water. Let's remember, this was during the summer. It was hot. They don't want us to do it, period. And I'm going to tell you something else about the squad and why this is epic fail for them. Because it was just a couple of months ago when there was the vote for the Capitol Police Bill. And let us not forget that it was Jamal Bowman, it was AOC, it was Rashida Tlaib who voted present on that bill. That was a moment when they could have used their power to actually implement change. By them voting present, that bill went through and the Capitol Police were funded more. And we're already starting to see the effects of it. They have more funding, and you saw all those cops that showed up at Occupy Congress on Monday. That was absolutely ridiculous. You didn't need that many officers there. They were being peaceful. There was no reason, in my opinion, to arrest them, but they will continue to find ways to do so. And so the squad, they have funded the police state. They are complicit in this. And I want us to remember this because there will be more protests. There will be more. It doesn't stop here. The American people are fed up. Guys, I'm telling you, I went into work today. I went to work on Friday, and people are leaving in droves. In droves. Our IT department is virtually gone. My office is virtually empty. The American people are fed up. So the protesting is going to continue to happen, and it needs to continue to happen. But now we have given the police more money, and they're already threatening cities that are choosing to defund the police. They are threatening those cities to punish them for doing so. They don't want us to protest, period. So when people come to you and they say, well, I'm all for protesting, but you should do it peacefully. No one minds it if it's done peacefully. I want you to remind them of how Martin Luther King was beaten, how he had dogs sicked on him, and he was thrown in prison. Keep in mind, he's the one being beaten. And he was the one thrown in prison. And he protested peacefully. So do not come to me and tell me that it's okay. The government is fine with it. The police are fine with it when you do it peacefully, because they're not. Go on to some of the comments in the chat. Eric Thomas said, defund Congress. Wow. That's something we can easily do. I've told you guys this before. I'll say it again. Take that same money that you use to donate to these politicians and donate that money to mutual aid groups. LC said, it is our right to protest. Somebody better remind our government. We've had enough. Yes, this is our right. They're trying to take everything. Little by little, they're trying to take our rights away from us. Look at what's happening in Texas. They're trying to make it virtually impossible for a woman to have an abortion. More states will follow, mark my words, especially in the South. One by one, they're trying to take our rights away from us. Valerie said protesting must continue, but in bigger numbers for these things. Where were all the bodies at this protest? So that's a good question. Again, I feel like this is one of those times where someone like Bernie, someone like members of the squad, if they would have tweeted about this, if they would have promoted this, there would have been hundreds and thousands of people there. But they're choosing not to, just like they chose not to with the Medicare for All marches. Come on, Bernie Sanders, it's your bill. Isn't that what Cori Bush said? That's Bernie Sanders' bill. And even Bernie Sanders is silent. You don't get to stand in front of thousands and thousands of people when you're running for president and say, we're building a movement across this country. We believed you. People believed you. We were ready to have a movement. And then because you're not the candidate that's chosen, all of a sudden that movement is just supposed to stop. For some people, it did. For some people, they were like, Trump's gone, so it's all good. That's good enough for me. But for some of us who really need that movement, who really need that to happen in our lives, it didn't stop for us. And now some of those same people who were in that movement with us are looking back at us and saying that we just need to support politicians. We just need to kind of suck it up, be happy that Trump's gone, and give Biden credit. But a lot of those people didn't really need the things that were a part of that movement. That's the problem. Go into comments in the chat. The Church of Evil said Trump's gone, time for brunch. That's what it is. That's what it is. What happened to all those people who were ready to fight? Where is everybody? Where'd they go? They went back to brunch, sipping on mimosas. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Stephanie said they are being silenced by the donor class. They're allowed to signal with tweets. That's all. How do you let them control you to this point? Nope, I'm going to say it. Never allow someone to silence you to the point where you cannot speak your truth. Never let that happen. I don't care what kind of job it is. You should be able to bring your full self to work. This is something that we teach people in DEI all the time, in diversity, equity, and inclusion. You should be able to bring your full self. If you can't bring your full self, find another job. So either they're not able to bring their full self, or it was never really who they were. I'll let you guys decide. Jay Scott said there were 10 people on the steps. Where were y'all? Y'all didn't show up. I think part of the problem is, Jay, people didn't know about it. A lot of people did not know. This is why promotion is so important. We have to have promotion, and you need to have these people like a Bernie Sanders and an AOC, like them promoting these things goes a long way. Even when they did the protest for the eviction moratorium, if they would have promoted that like a couple of days before, do you know how many people would have been there? This is why people didn't take it seriously. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just a performance stunt. They decided to do this last minute." Like, nah, man, when you really trying to get people, come on now. They ran for office. They know how to draw a crowd. There were over 20,000 people in New York City that went to see Bernie Sanders, that rally that he had. Over 20,000 people with him, Nina Turner, and you know who else was there speaking? AOC. They know how to get people there. I think they were silenced. Valerie said, I only heard about it accidentally happening into a Jimmy Dore stream. So there you go. We need more promotion for these activities. We need more promotion. But regardless of the fact that I still feel the same, that people should not be arrested for protesting, period. Mark my words, you guys, they're going to implement more and more of these laws and these rules to eventually it's going to get to the point where we're not going to be able to protest at all. And if that happens in this country, that'll be a sad day. Quaker Socialist said Franco was there, Finney, Paula, and Nick Brana. And Lee Camp was there too. And I can forget all the names. Oh, the older gentleman who was pushed to the ground by the police officers in Buffalo, New York during the Black Lives Matter protests and George Floyd protests, he was there. They pushed this elderly man, pushed this man to the ground. Police state. Police state. That's what we are living in right now. I'm going to head on to our second story of the night. Now, this one, I can't, I don't, I won't. This is Kamala Harris. So she gave a little short statement, I guess you would call it, on Labor Day, talking about Labor Day, guys. She's talking about Labor Day. She's talking about workers and wages and fighting for labor rights. Listen to this. Let me share my screen. This was funny because I'll tell you afterwards, but this is funny. So there she is, and standing next to her left, that is our former mayor in Boston. His name was Mayor Marty Walsh. He left his seat, his mayor seat, and went to go work with the Biden administration. And so, yeah. Anywho, listen to what she says here, you guys. I'm going to pick this apart. I'm going to pick it apart. Let me mute my mic.
Hey everyone, so today we celebrate labor, unions, and the labor movement and how it has transformed the condition under which workers work. Thanks to unions and labor, we have the 5-day work week, we have sick leave, we have protections against harassment in the workplace. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Secretary?
I do. And also, labor unions have fought for better wages, working conditions, health benefits, health and safety on the job site, and they've done so much to protect the American worker, and not just the American worker, all workers in America.
When labor unions are stronger, America is stronger.
And I want to say happy Labor Day to everyone. I want you to go out and thank a union member for all the great things that we have in our workforce today.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Hold on to your seat. Hold on to your seat. That's just one. Here's the other one that really just kind of cracked me up. I'm like, it's called Kamala Harris's Cringe Labor Day message. Listen to what she says here, man, and read the words too, because I'm like, this is so hypocritical. Hold on one second. All right, let me mute my mic. Just realized I was muted. All right, let me share my screen. Share audio. This was really short, but listen to this because it's funny. Here we go.
If you want to have a strong economy, support workers. No matter what your profession, if you are a member of organized labor of a union or not, thank unions every day. If you want to have a strong economy, support workers.
If you want to have a strong economy, support workers. Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to say it? Sweet Drifter said she has to be kidding. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. It's going to come out word vomit. If you believe that, Kamala Harris, then why didn't you use your power to override the Senate parliamentarian when we were trying to get a raise for minimum wage? If you believe that. Support workers. And the other video was interesting too, because she said that we found ways to, protect people from sexual harassment in the workplace. Not really. Still happens. Look at Andrew Cuomo. This man was allowed to stay in office 14 more days after he admitted being guilty, after they had evidence against him. Who was protecting those women that worked with Andrew Cuomo? Who's protected the women that's been around Joe Biden? Who's protected the women? Let's go to Hollywood here. Who's protected the women that have worked with Harvey Weinstein? It's just something you need to think about. That was the most BS statement I've ever heard. And essentially because it's coming from her, someone who, again, had power to override the Senate parliamentarian. You're the vice president. You're the tiebreaker. Support workers. We're not supporting workers in this country. The minimum wage is still under $10. People are still making like $7.25 an hour. How are we supporting workers? Where's this strong economy you keep talking about? Somebody tell me. Did you know that Black unemployment has increased in the month of August? Increased. They're so full of it, you guys. They're so full of it. If you really meant that, if you really believe that, then you would be fighting tooth and nail to help workers in this country, but you're not. All the policies that you guys sign off on, that you vote for, go against us. It doesn't help us. You tell me how in 2021, we don't have a $15 minimum wage by now, which it should be more than that. How is that even possible? And we have career politicians that have been there along the way that have allowed it to continue and to happen. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. They've been there. Don't tell the house slave said a hot mess. This woman just kills me. And then to see like Marty Walsh, like my former mayor, standing there next to her, all giddy. It's such a disgrace. Because I know Marty Walsh comes from a working class background. He knows the struggle. He's talked about this often. Gamer for Life said Kamala is part of deep state. There you go. Jimmy Dore's Garage said they said Captain Mendoza yelled at me. There you go. There you go. Yes, Franny French, you get me with that one. She's a phony phonerson. It's so fake. And I can't believe it. Like, people will watch that and they'll believe it. They'll be like, oh, Kamala Harris, yay. She's doing so great. No. Bill Bradley said they give stock options to white collar middle class employees so that they start to support Wall Street because they are making money there. It is how you create traders to the cause in the middle. They don't care about us. Kamala don't care about us. Jean says, so what are we going to do about this? Yes, let's talk about possible solutions to go along with this. Number one, I told you guys, stop voting for Democrats. These people are not going to help us. They've had plenty of time. It's 2021. What are they doing? That's one step. The next step is, again, support mutual aid groups, direct action. We have to take care of each other. We have to stop waiting on politicians and people in office and the government to do what they're supposed to do, because they're not going to do it. As long as corporations control the politicians are not going to do it. And some of them going in office may have good intentions when they go in, but the system itself is corrupt. I say the same thing about police. Some people that become cops actually have good intentions in the beginning. They really want to help fight crime. They really want to help protect people. But the police system itself is corrupt. So until you change those systems, the people in it are not going to change. Look at Bernie Sanders. Look how he caved. And the third thing that we need to do is a general strike. And on that note, I do have an update on that. I'm going to talk about that later this week, because the general strike in October has a new name. There are more steps. There's more information. And I'm going to talk about that this week. So I'll update you guys on that. Martin A. said the police culture either changes them or spits them out. Yes, and God forbid you snitch on one of your fellow officers. You're not supposed to turn against the police union. You guys are supposed to back each other up. So if you're one of those officers that does that, they're going to make things very difficult for you going forward. Very difficult. Gub Diggs said voting Democrats for 40 years and nothing happens. Gee, keep voting the same. Exactly. It doesn't change. It just no. Bill said Nader helped write a bunch of legislations in the 70s, like Consumer Product Safety Act, and then watched the Dems that supported it get marginalized by the party. It is why Nader later ran third party. I'm still trying to get Ralph Nader on, you guys. I contacted him, or actually I submitted the form, but I am trying to get him on because I really, really want to talk to him. You know, I know Bernie, that was his thing. Like Bernie did not want to go the way of Ralph Nader. I think he was afraid of that happening. I think he was afraid of being ostracized. I really do. Yeah. Wimple Dinkle said, it's been longer than 40 years. Take it from a 57-year-old. Yeah, man, my parents, talking to my parents about politics, my dad tells me, he's like, I never trusted either party. My dad said that. I didn't know that for the longest time. That my dad didn't like Democrats or Republicans. And he said he didn't tell me that growing up because he didn't want to influence my decision. It's interesting. Yeah, Stephanie said love Nader. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It's one of those things. Nico said Sabrina's dad is smart. He is. Yeah, I wish I would have taken his advice when I was younger sometimes. You guys know how it is. Like you're a teenager and you think you know everything, and yeah, one of those things. Eric said Sab's dad sounds cool. Yeah, my dad is really cool. And I'm not trying to brag, but like my dad's pretty cool dude. Yeah. Yeah. Dan O'Neill said two wings of the same war bird. They do the same thing. It's just, I don't know. They do the same thing. Jean said, I'm self-employed. How can I help the October strike? So that's a good question. One of the things that you can do is you can't walk off your job if you're self-employed, obviously, but you can do like a consumer strike as a part of this. So not buying goods from certain companies like Amazon, like Walmart, Target, and I know it may be difficult at first, like when we start talking about it, like for a while, I honestly was like, there was no way I could live without Amazon. And then I pushed myself to kind of do so. And then it gets to the point where I don't even need the Amazon Prime membership anymore because like I just started doing things the old way, like going to the store. There was a time when Amazon didn't exist. There was a time when I had to physically we went to the store. Like that's what we did. So anyway, it wasn't easy in the beginning, but once I got used to it, now I'm just like, meh, Amazon. And Amazon isn't always the cheaper option either, you guys. I started doing this, like you look at some of the prices like on Amazon and then you look at that same item, maybe at the store may be cheaper now. But we think sometimes that Amazon is always cheaper because, they get it to us in 2 days. If we have Prime, their prices were usually cheaper. But then there's also the fact that like you're waiting 2 days to get it when you could just go to the store and have it right now. See how I did that? You can go to the store and have it right now. Yes, GovDig, really focus on Amazon and Walmart. Stop using them and watch what happens. Yeah, they're the big ones. If you're using Amazon for groceries, so this is another way that you can help people, you guys. If you may not have like money or whatever to, contribute to mutual aid. And I get that, but you can do errands for people. Like you can do like in Massachusetts, like go to mutualaidhub.org because in Massachusetts, there's a whole bunch of them. And you can just go to the ones that are closest to where you live. And there's like lists of people who need things done for them. It could be things like babysitting. Sometimes people need you to pick up their prescription medications because they can't leave the house. And their daughter or their son has been doing that. Maybe they moved away. Some people need you to pick up their groceries. They need you to go grocery shopping for them. And not everybody can afford to do Instacart all the time because Instacart charge the fees. So those are ways that you can help that won't require a lot of money. We have to take care of each other. We got to do this, you guys. My dad was telling me when he was growing up, that's how it used to be. He said people in the community used to look out for each other. He said he knew if he got in trouble before, or if he did something wrong before he got home, my grandma would already know because people in the neighborhood looked out for each other and watched over each other. So if you were a kid and you weren't in school or you were doing something you weren't supposed to do, it would get back to your parents before you got home. That's what my dad was telling me. We need to build community again. We need to bring community back. We're so broken. Like I said, I live in the Boston area. Like half the time we don't even talk to each other. We walk past each other every day. We don't even speak. It's just one of those things. I am going to go to the last story, especially since I held you guys up so long earlier because I had everybody in like fish mode. That was so funny. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. We're going to talk about Medicare at 60. So this is happening as well. Bernie is trying to convince Joe Manchin to approve his bill, the Medicare for All bill. The ask that the Dems are trying to go with now is, well, what if we only bring the Medicare age down to 60? Again, the ask is too small. It's too small. Dems do this, man. Dems do this. Let me ask for things, but let me ask for some crumbs. No. I mean, if you were going to have pizza, would you want someone to give you a piece of crust, or do you want the whole slice? Come on. Let me share my screen because I want you to hear what Joe Manchin says. And it's not good. And it's pretty predictable. But here's where we are now. First, on CNN, more than 100 Democratic lawmakers introduced legislation to lower the Medicare eligibility age to 60. Let me read down here and I'll show you the video. The legislation comes as Democrats are working to expand Medicare benefits through their multi-trillion-dollar spending proposal being used to fulfill much of President Joe Biden's domestic agenda. The lawmakers are introducing this legislation with the hopes of it being included in the final reconciliation package. So, again, more than 100 Democratic lawmakers in the House from all wings of the caucus introduced legislation Friday to lower the Medicare eligibility age to 60. And here we go. I'm going to play this video now.
They found someone dead.
Sorry, ad. It'll be just a second.
Is urging fellow Democrats to hit the pause button on that $3.5 trillion spending bill, saying there are more urgent priorities.
I would ask my colleagues and all of the Senate to hit the pause button on the 3.5. Hit the pause button. Let's sit back. Let's see what happens. We've got so much on our plate. We really have an awful lot. I think that would be the prudent, wise thing to do. I know they're going to go nuts right now because it's probably being, what I just said is going to all my caucus in Washington.
Here they come.
The night before we voted on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, Bernie Sanders wanted to talk to me. And Bernie and I respect Bernie truly, is a very, very much a socialist. He really is. And he makes no bones about it. I know where he's coming from. I know who he is. And I respect that. He don't make any bones. He don't try to hide it. So Bernie said, Joe, I can kill this bill, which is the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And I said, Bernie, I know you probably could if you wanted to. And I says, I guess if people in Vermont don't need the roads fixes, bridge fixes, water, sewer, internet, I think go home and tell them the hell with you. You're not going to do it. That's all. I said, yeah, you can kill it. Go ahead. And he said, well, I can kill on the other side. And I said, well, go over and tell them to go home and tell everybody what you don't need. Then he looked at me and said, you going to vote for the $3.5 trillion? I said, hell no, Bernie, I'm not voting for $3.5 trillion. He says, looked at me and said, well, at least you're honest with me. I said, Bernie, I'm willing to work with you and let's see what we need and what we can afford to pay for. But just putting an arbitrary number, no, I'm not going to do that.
There are 50 Democrats in the Senate. They have to get all of them united. And what the Democratic leaders have in mind is for them to put together this massive proposal, upwards of $3.5 trillion by mid-September, by September 15th. And they want this to pass by the end of September. And the reason why that is essential is because at that point, Nancy Pelosi has promised to put that separate infrastructure bill that has already passed the Senate, to put that on the House floor by September 27th. But that will not pass the House because progressives refuse to support that unless the Senate Democrats approve that larger $3.5 trillion plan. So if Manchin is saying hit pause, what happens to that separate bipartisan bill?
They found someone.
Dude. Notice how that was Joe Manchin in that chair. Notice how Joe Manchin was like, let's put the pause button on this bill. Let's pump the brakes. Notice how he said Bernie Sanders was like, oh, okay, well, at least you're honest. Let me ask you guys a question. Why is Bernie letting Joe Manchin run him? Why? Notice how Joe Manchin is he's telling everybody like, yeah, this is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Why can't Bernie do the same? You know, I think about all those times when Bernie kept saying, Joe's a good friend of mine. Remember that on the debate stage? Sometimes, I just wanted Bernie to just really give it to him, just like, stop saying he's your damn friend. Throw him under the bus. This is a debate. You're trying to win an election. But for Joe Manchin to say, let's put the pause button on it, this goes back to what I was telling you guys. This is what they do. It's always, now is not the right time. Let's wait. We're in a pandemic, you guys. And they still don't want to give everybody health care in this country. They're still saying, wait. 600,000 people have died. He's like, wait. I used to say to myself, this is why it was so important that Joe Manchin did not win again. This was why it was crucial that he did not win again. But then I started to realize, nope. Because let's pretend that he didn't win. Let's pretend that Paula Jean Swearengin did win. That she was there now. You know what would happen? They would just make somebody else the villain. This is something that Glenn Greenwald talked about before. The rotating villain. This is why I tell you it doesn't really matter who you put in. It'll be somebody else. Shout out Richie for the super chat. He said, Medicare for all is a compromise. We need a national health service with federally funded hospitals, doctors, pharma companies, guaranteeing health care for all, to all. Absolutely. But Richie, they don't even want to do the compromise. They don't even want to do that. What has to happen? Over 600,000 people have died. What are they waiting for? Well, Bernie, let's put the pause on that. Somebody in the chat, please tell me, please explain to me though, why do people keep voting for Joe Manchin? Why do they keep putting him through? Joe Manchin is from one of the poorest states in this country, West Virginia. It's one of the poorest states in this country. I had a classmate from West Virginia, told me a lot of stories. And I just wonder sometimes. I don't understand. I couldn't imagine you lived in West Virginia your whole life. You're struggling, living through poverty. Joe Manchin is not helping you. He's not going to help. He's going to continue to do what he's doing because he has corporate donors. And I think back to when Paula Jean Swearingen was running, and I was saying to myself, like, how could they not vote for this woman? How? Go into some of the comments in the chat. Delthea said, justice delayed is justice denied. They just want us to continue to wait. James Baldwin, Killer Mike quoted this. This was during like Bernie's campaign. Killer Mike quoted this. I believe it was Orf who compiled this into a video. And I said, that should have been Bernie Sanders' campaign ad. Powerful, powerful video. And he said that one of his famous writers growing up was James Baldwin. And one of the things that James Baldwin said was, all my life, you told us to wait. You told my grandfather to wait. You told my father to wait. You told my uncle to wait. You're telling me to wait. How long am I supposed to wait on freedom? How long? It's always, yeah, we'll have this done in about 20 to 30 years. Some of these things they can do right now. We're trying to help the economy. Cancel student loan debt. Eric Thomas said, I think a couple more years should do it. This is what they tell you. They never want to do anything right now. We have to demand what we want. They're not going to help us. We're not the ones who pay them. Yeah, we may have donated to their campaigns, but our money is nothing compared to the money that they get from Raytheon, Sallie Mae, Goldman Sachs. Franny said, are they going to wait to take care of the sick planet? Yes, and that will be the end of us. Hello. Joe Biden doesn't even want to stop fracking. One of the biggest polluters is the military-industrial complex. So if Joe Biden really cared about the climate, and someone should challenge him on this, if Joe Biden really cared about the climate, why is he still doing drone strikes? Richie said, we'll only win by hitting the streets and blocking the flow of capital until our demands are met. Seriously, this is where we got to go. This is where we got to go. We can't wait on them no more. We can't wait on them. I don't feel like waiting for another politician to get elected and maybe do what they promised they're going to do. They say the same thing every time. Everybody talks a good game when they're running because they want to win. Joy Duncan said, I believe a city on Ohio has maternal death and infant mortality death that is equal to third world countries in Africa, in the richest country in the world. Please tell me the US government cares about women. They don't. They don't care about us. They don't even want to pay us the same they pay men. They still trying to pay us less. Some companies don't even offer a maternity leave. You got to use your vacation time. What kind of country does that? Franny said they don't even want to pass the ERA. No. They're not trying to help us. So I think what we need to do going forward, Atrice, you said you're taking the day off tomorrow. I wish I could do the same. Atrice said he's taking the day off tomorrow. Oh my God. I wish I could join you. Oh my gosh. It is what it is, man. Martinet said, saying this for once, I'd kill for Sabby. Oh, that's so sweet. Scary, but sweet. Yeah. Joy said, oh, I lost it. There it goes. Oh, yeah. The US is one of the few countries in the world without government maternity leave. It's ridiculous. Absolutely. Like, why should you have to? And this is ridiculous, but even my employer don't really offer maternity leave. You have to use your vacation time. It doesn't make any sense. My friend in the UK told me that women get like a 9 months, I think it's 9 months to a year after they have their child, so that the mother has that time to bond with the child. Here in America, you on your own. It's the individual mindset. You know, I've worked with a lot of students over the years, different countries, different states. And one of the things that some of my international students have told me is that one of the things they noticed when they came to America to go to school is that here it seems like it's all about the individual. Whereas back home, it's about community. You work together for the good of your community. You would never let someone have to struggle on their own. But here in America, it's all about the individual. So if you need something, a lot of times there's some good faith people out there that will help, but a lot of times you're on your own. Olive Garden says, when you're here, you're family. When you are here, you're alone. And it's a sad truth for a lot of people in this country. So when people say things like, well, these people who are going to get evicted, why can't they just move back in with their parents? Not everybody has parents. And not everyone's parents are still alive. And not everyone's parents have a place to live theirself. That's the assumptions that sometimes people make. They think because they had it, that other people have it too. Barron said Olive Garden actually is halfway decent. I only know that because like I worked at the Olive Garden in college, man. I did. I made a lot of tips at the Olive Garden. I'll just keep it real. Friday, Saturday night, I made good money on the weekend. Used to know everything on the menu. We had to know it. That's where I learned how to open a wine bottle because it was part of your training. Baron Saturday said I knew it. Oh yeah, buddy. I've tried everything on their menu. Thank you for saying that, Eric Thomas. That is very true. Tip your waitress. Guys, please do that. Because, like, I can't tell you the number of times where, like, when I was waiting tables, people just wouldn't tip. You could give like excellent service. And then as time went by, I found out that some people didn't realize this was in South Carolina. I was in college. Some people didn't realize that waitresses were only being paid $2.13 an hour. And so because you get tips, you don't end up getting an actual paycheck. Like my paycheck would always say void because your credit card tips are automatically claimed, right? So I realized that not everybody knew that waitresses we really do work for our tips. I say we, I don't wait tables anymore, but it kind of stays with you in life. But they really do work for their tips. They need those tips, you guys. So the worst thing I think that's tough is when people would come in and they'd have like $80 bill, $100 tab, get all these drinks and stuff from the bar, and you're running back and forth from the bar to the table to give them the drinks, and that takes time, and then they don't want to tip. If you have advice on how much you should tip 20% for great service. That's what I do. It's rare that I would give someone less. Unless you just like disappeared. I had a waiter one time that just disappeared. Like, like me and my husband, we were out to dinner. Waiter took our order, brought our food, never showed back up. I was like, where did he go? I don't know. Troy said tips are a poor excuse for not paying a living wage. Did you guys know that in some European countries, you don't have to tip because the tip is already included like as a part of their wage? So some countries it's actually considered rude to tip because of that reason. They're like, that can be an insult, right? Not in America. Ryan said, I just saw a tweet and someone was saying 1970 compared to today. The reason for the price hike was that modern homes have air conditionings. Oh my God. Give me a break. There are some houses, like modern houses right now on the West Coast that don't have air conditioning. I have a friend of mine that lives in Portland, Oregon, and apparently it was really hot there this summer, like triple digits, and they're just not used to that over there. And she was telling me, she was like, dude, everybody was freaking out because she's from North Carolina. She was like, everybody was like freaking out because they're not used to having air conditioning. That's funny though. That is funny. All right, guys, I have already gone over my time because you guys saw like my fishbowl face earlier, which was really funny. But I hope you learned something tonight. We have to do better with fighting back in this country. Like I said, I don't think people should be arrested for protesting at all. Just period. Whether you have a bullhorn, whether you have a microphone, I don't feel that's a reason to protest. Not to protest. I don't feel that's a reason to arrest someone. Period. Got to do something about the healthcare system. Lowering the Medicare age to 60, that's not enough. It's not bold. It's crumbs. Like I said, you don't want someone to give you a piece of a pizza crust. You want them to give you the whole freaking slice. Some of us, the whole pizza, it is what it is. But we got to change things here. We can't just applaud these little wins. People say, well, a little win is a win. Not when you don't have healthcare. Not when you're arresting people for doing peaceful protests. And I think we all still learned that Kamala Harris is still fake. It just is what it is. Says you're for laborers and for workers, but when you had the opportunity to actually show that, it's the behavior, It's not so much the rhetoric, it's the behavior. Don't tell me, show me. I want to see the action. When she had a chance to really show workers that she was on their side, she let the Senate parliamentarian have that power. So it is what it is. Troy C. said, fake, you don't say? Absolutely. Absolutely. No, you did not. Baron said Kamala still means horrible in Finnish. Oh my God. I didn't know. Okay. Wow. Oh boy. Yes, it was. Angry progressive. Your head was larger than average. I find that attractive, Sabby. That's really sweet. It's funny too, because I already have a big head to begin with. So when I saw myself on the screen, I was like, oh God, no, let's take this off of here. Take it off. It's too much. Where Pilgrim said pretty big head. I got a big head, you guys can tell. You guys can't see the rest of me. You only see me like up here, but my head does not match the rest of my body. Joy said, oh, it was cute, Sabs. Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for hanging in there, because I didn't know how long it was going to take me to fix that issue. But if it happens to you guys and you look on YouTube and you realize you have a fishbowl face, you probably hit that 360 button by accident in the live stream. So thanks so much, you guys, for hanging in there, bearing with me. And as always, have a good night. Keep up the fight.